Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, total world victory of Hare Krishna. Welcome back to another Bhagavad-gita class with me, your host, Prahlad. Today we are doing Bhagavad-gita 429. Let's get straight into it. There we go. Apāne juhvati pānaṁ prāṇe pānaṁ tathāpare prāṇāpāna-gatī ruddhvā prāṇayāma-parāyaṇāḥ apare niyatāhārāḥ. Apare niyatāhārāḥ prāṇan prāṇeṣu juhvati. I think that's how you say it. This one, it's not the usual 4 lines, so I'm not sure the metronome, the meter to say it in. Because if you go back, this one's 4 lines, so it's the normal meter, but this one is not. Apāne, air which acts downwards. Juhvati, offers. Prāṇam, air which acts outwards. Prāṇe, in the air going outwards. Apānam, air going downwards. Tathā, as also. Apare, others. Prāṇa, air going outwards. Apāna, air going downwards. Gatī, movement. Ruddhvā, checking. Prāṇayāma, trance induced by stopping all breathing. Parāyāṇāḥ, so inclined. Apare, others. Niyata, controlled. Āhārāḥ, eating. Prāṇan, outwards, outgoing air. Prāṇeṣu, in the outgoing air. Juhvati, sacrifices. There we go. A lot of repetition there. Translation. And there are even others who are inclined to the process of breath restraint to remain in trance, and they practice stopping the movement of the outgoing breath into incoming, and the incoming breath into outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing, some of them curtailing the eating process, offering the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice. Interesting. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This system of yoga for controlling the breathing process is called prāṇayāma. And in the beginning, it is practiced in the Hatha yoga system through different sitting postures. All of these processes are recommended for controlling the senses and for advancement in spiritual realization. This practice involves controlling the air within the body to enable simultaneous passage in opposite directions. The apāna air goes downwards and the prāṇa air goes up. The pranayama yogi practices breathing the opposite way until the currents are neutralized into puraka equilibrium. Similarly, when the exhaled breath is offered to inhaled, when the exhaled breathing is offered to inhaled breathing, it is called rechaka. When both air currents are completely stopped, it is called kumbhakti yoga. By practicing of juhvati yoga, the yogis increase the duration of life by many, many years. A Krishna-conscious person, however, being always situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, automatically becomes the control of the senses. His senses, being always engaged in the service of Krishna, have no chance of becoming otherwise engaged. So at the end of life, he is naturally transferred to the transcendental plane of Lord Krishna. Consequently, he makes no attempt to increase his longevity. He is at once raised to the platform of liberation. A Krishna-conscious person begins from the transcendental stage, and he is continuously in that consciousness. Therefore, there is no falling down, and ultimately he enters the abode of the Lord without delay. The practice of reduced eating is automatically done when one eats only Krishna prasadam, or food which is offered first to the Lord. Reducing the eating process is very helpful in the matter of sense control. Scroll down a bit. And without sense control, there is no possibility of getting out of the material entanglement. There we go. Going on to the differences. I think there's a good chunk. So, in the original, and there are even others who are inclined, has been changed to still others, who are inclined to the process of breath restraint. Is there anything here? No, it does not say anything about that. Anyway, I'm not sure about that. And there are even others who are inclined. I think it might make sense based on how the previous translation was changed. We went through this yesterday, but basically the previous translation was changed in the second edition to become more of a list. So, having accepted strict vows, some become enlightened, and then the list starts by sacrificing their possessions, and others by performing severe austerities, by practicing the yoga of the Eightfold System, or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge. And then still others who are inclined, and there are even others. Yeah, I'm not sure if it changes the meaning. I don't think it does, but you could have it either way. Anyway, wait, going back to here, persons who are inclined. Is that the? Okay, well, it is definitely not going closer to the manuscript. The manuscript doesn't have anything. It says persons who are inclined. Okay. The next change, and they practice stopping the movement of outgoing breath, has been changed to practice by offering the movement of outgoing breath into incoming breath. I don't know, that part is a bit confusing to read. Practice by offering the movement of outgoing breath into incoming breath. And they practice stopping the movement of outgoing breath into incoming breath. I think the original edition, that makes sense, but the second edition makes no sense. By offering the movement, what does it say here? Practice by stopping the movement. Yeah. Not going closer to the manuscript. Doesn't make sense to me. Not a good change. So the next one, and incoming breath into outgoing breath, and the incoming breath into the outgoing. I guess they've added the there because it says the outgoing, and would make sense to say the incoming into the outgoing, and incoming breath into the outgoing. Yeah, the second edition makes sense. I think that's just a grammar choice. What does it say here? I gotta get back. Which part is it? Breath, movement. The movement of the outgoing. Okay. Breath into the inner. The inner something to get out through the outer. And inner breath through the outer. I guess it doesn't say the incoming. Well, it makes more sense. It doesn't need a the if it's using the word inner. Inner breath. You don't say the inner breath. Well, you could, but incoming does sort of need the prefacing it to make grammatical sense. So yeah, guess that's a okay change. And then some of them curtailing the eating process has been changed to others curtailing the eating process. I guess the change does make sense, as the translation's been changed, sort of the writing style of it because of the previous one. So when it says others, it's still talking about the previous translation. Scrolling around too much. Some of them also make sense, as how the previous translation and this translation is written. So yeah, I guess it makes sense in the continuation of the changes, but didn't really need to be changed. As is most changes, almost all. So looks like there's a lot here. So this, in the original, this practice involves controlling the air within the body to enable simultaneous passage in opposite directions. It has been changed to this practice involves controlling the airs within the body so as to reverse the direction of their passage. So as to reverse the directions of their passage. What is it? This practice involves controlling the air. This practice is just to accept or control the airs within the body for passing on the opposite direction. So what does it say here? This practice is to just accept or control the airs within the body for passing direction, so as to reverse the direction of the passage. What does this one say? The book said when exhaled breathing is offered to inhaled breathing is called Rechaka. This follows the original manuscript verbatim, but the formula when there is such and such is grammatically non-standard because it leaves it with no proper antecedent, and here the reader might assume that the exhaled breath is the antecedent intended, which it is not. I don't even know what that. Okay, interesting. What was actually? That's the next change. But anyway, going on to this change here. Talks about controlling the airs within the body so as to reverse directions of their passage, to enable simultaneous passage in opposite directions. I think it might change the meaning slightly. Yeah, not sure. It's just a bit of a mess. Anyway, going on to the next one. Similarly, when the exhaled breathing is offered to inhaled breathing, it is called a chaka. When both air currents are currently stopped, it is called kumbhakta yoga. That has been changed to offering the exhaled breath into the inhaled breath is called rechaka. When both air currents are completely stopped, one is said to be in kumbhakta yoga. Okay, well, what's that word? A-N-T-E, ascendant. The thing that existed before or logically precedes another. What does it say? Exhaled breath. Leaves it with no proper. Here the reader might assume. I would not have assumed that. Yeah, so that's just a fancy schmancy grammatical change, which I don't know. Maybe some other people would read it like that, but I definitely didn't. Anyway, yeah, this part here, when it says it is called Kumbhakta Yoga, one is said to be in Kumbhakta Yoga. It's changed there. This one is I think I've talked about this previously in other purports, but there's like a commonality between some of the changes that I've noticed, where it goes from sort of a definite, it is called Kumbhakta Yoga, and then it goes to sort of more loose based. One is said to be in Kumbhakta Yoga. One is more direct, and the other one is less direct. Yeah. Okay. And then by practice of Kumbhakta Yoga, the yogis increase the duration of life by many years. Has been changed to by practice of Kumbhakta Yoga, one can increase the duration of life for perfection in spiritual realization. The intelligent yogi is interested in attaining perfection in one life without waiting for the next. For by practicing Kumbhakta Yoga, the yogis increase the duration of life by many years. That's interesting because there's a full stop here when I think it's supposed to be a comma. Let me see. Is it? Nope. We're practicing. Yeah, it's a comma there again. This was the same thing ran into yesterday, where it said it was a full stop, but I think it's meant to be a comma. I'm not sure why it's been changed to a full stop, but the O here isn't capitalized, so I think that's a mistake in the differences. Anyway, there's a lot of text being added and changed. What does this say here for that? Doesn't say anything. Interesting. What does it say in the original manuscript? The practice of Kumbhakta Yoga, the yogis increase the duration of life. Many years. Okay, well, there's no reasoning for that change. There is added meaning to it. It says one can increase the duration of life for the perfection of spiritualization. Did not say that in the original. It also did not say that the yogi is interested in attaining perfection in one life without waiting for the next. Not sure where that came from. Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing in the changes about that, but it's quite a big change. Anyway, next change, they've added a quote, or they've added a reference to Bhagavad-gita 14:26. I think it said something in here about that. As it is said. As it is said in Bhagavad-gita, and then it has the quote. Yeah, so it did have the quote in the original manuscript, so that is a change going closer to the manuscript. There we go. Done when so last change, done the practice of reduced eating is automatically done when one only eats Krishna prasadam. Has been changed to when one only eats Krishna dash prasadam, and the K is being decapitalized. Is there anything in here about that? No, it is not. It just has. Okay. Well, I know any reference to Krishna is capitalized. I might say his or my, then it'll have a capital, so what that's referring to. Even here it says Lord, the capital L. But when it says Krishna prasadam, I think it is referring to the food, or food which is offered first to the Lord. So yeah, it is referring to the food and not Krishna himself. So I do think that is a correct change, or it's justifiable. What does it say here? Krishna Prasad, capital K. Well, it's going further from the manuscript, so bad change. Even though to me it makes sense. Yeah, that's it for the changes. Talking about the actual purport itself, yeah, it's sort of a continuation on from the last verse, which was talking about the different types of yagyas or stuff that people do. It says people who sacrifice their possessions. There are some who go through the eightfold system of eightfold mysticism, which is yoga. There's some engaged. No, it's not only talking about sacrifices, but it talks about the type of stuff that people do. And at the end, it says that Krishna consciousness is transcendental. And I made the comment that you can have all this other stuff, but not have Krishna consciousness. But you can have Krishna consciousness, and usually the other stuff comes with that. It talks about persons who sacrifice possessions in various kinds of charity. There are others who, for elevation of life or promotion to high planets, voluntarily accept many kinds of austerities. There are others who engage themselves in mystic yogas, and there are others who engage themselves in different studies of the Vedic literatures. So yeah, it's going through a list of stuff, and then it talks about Krishna consciousness. Here, again, it talks about a list of stuff, more specifically with like yoga and breathing. Talking about the yogis. They can increase their duration of life by many, many years. I think I've heard somewhere that some people say, I don't know where it comes from, but your life, you have a limited amount of breaths. So if you control your breathing, you can live for longer. Yeah, I don't remember where that comes from, but I guess, here it sort of proves that, or here it sort of, or it does say that here. um, and yeah, again, it talks about a Krishna conscious person does not make any attempt to increase his longevity. I guess there's no need to remain in the material worlds for any longer as someone who is Krishna conscious, except to do more service. It does say always in a Krishna conscious person, however, being always situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, automatically becomes the control of the senses. So, there might be, yogis and people trying to control the senses through all of these austerities, yajnas, breathing, all these different types of yoga. But someone who is in Krishna consciousness, has that down easy. And yeah, reducing the eating process is very helpful in the matter of sense control. I think that's why uh you know there's a Kadashi, and there's always it's always harder to get prasadam than it is to not get prasadam. Yeah, so that's I think it says it's easy somewhere. Yeah, the practice of reduced eating is automatically done when one only eats Krishna prasadam. Yeah, easy. Okay. Yeah, I like this purport. It's easy to understand. The translation is a bit, I don't know, confusing for me. It has a lot of repetition. But I understand it through the purport. Prabhupada is a mastery of his words and how he crafts these purports. Yeah. Thinking about a contemporary application. Sort of already went through that, talking about the yogis. People trying to attain longevity. People try to attain longevity through like any means and every means. But a person in Krishna consciousness doesn't really that much. Maybe you would want to have more longevity for more service, but otherwise it does not matter. um, it's always there's no struggle. It's always basically happiness through the aging process. Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of a contemporary application. Already went through that. Yeah, so going back to the purport to finish us off. Apāne juhvati prāṇam prāṇe pānaṁ tathāpare prāṇāpāna-gatī ruddhvā prāṇaṁ-ayāma-parāyaṇāḥ apare niyatāhārāḥ prāṇam prāṇeṣu juhvati. Oof. And there are even others who are inclined to the process of breath restraint to remain in trance, and they practice stopping the movement of outgoing breath into the incoming, and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Some of them curtailing the eating process, offering the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice. I now understand what it's saying. Practice stopping the movement of outgoing breath into incoming. So that's breathing in, and incoming breath into outgoing, which is breathing out. I get it. I guess reading it the second time around really got that. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for watching live. If you're watching live, thank you if you're watching afterwards. Also, if you like any of the content that we do here, give it a like, give it a share, tag your friends. I will be back next week to do Bhagavad-gita, some more Bhagavad-gita verses. Yeah. Good morning, good evening, or good night. It is a good night for me. Last night in New Zealand we've switched to daylight saving, so technically it would be 8:30 now, but it is now 9:30. So for all the international viewers, we have jumped an hour. But yeah, it's a good night for me. And yeah, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, total world victory of Hare Krishna.